Tom, hey, congratulations on The Collective.
Hey, Gig, thank you very much.
Hey, so it is a terrific movie. I love these type of action movies because they're a guilty pleasure type of movies. But what initially drew you to this project?
Well, I got a call from my good friend and longtime collaborator, producer Richard Switzer, and he said, "Hey, I have a script. I think you'd really gravitate towards it. It's got a lot of the kind of things that you like." And I read it, and I immediately just kind of took to it. And I love the fact that the script was action-packed and it didn't get convoluted or hung up with a lot of excessive extra storylines and subplots that nobody really cares about. I just love that it was about the mission and the action. There's no romance. There's no girl that he's gonna get at the end. It's just kind of it's all about the mission, and I really appreciated that.
Well, these types of films are hard to prep, though. You're talking about action scene after action scene after action scene. So tell us about the approach on this action film and how you wanted to make that different from a lot of things that are out there.
Well, I was lucky to work with a really great stunt team. Anthony Huang and his team are top notch. And this was the first movie that I've gotten a chance to work on where I get to work with the stunt team and the stunt performers and even my leads. Like Tyrese had a session with us, and Lucas Till had a session with us. Mercedes had some sessions where we're getting to have a rehearsal of all these fights on days that we're not even shooting, which to me, coming from the real down and dirty independent scene, we never get those luxuries. So to be able to have that extra time, so that we've all heard it before, time is money, and we shot this whole movie in 15 days. So when you get on set, all those performers better know exactly what they're doing, because you simply don't have the time to be teaching people what's going on the day. So the prep was huge. Having that extra time was huge, and being able to actually work with the actors and the stunt coordinator, Anthony, to make sure that everyone's comfortable, everyone feels safe, no one's going to get hurt, and we can make some really gnarly action sequences happen.
What? So now you work with a lot of these actors, such as Lucas and Tyrese. Tell us about using them as part of the stunts. Because they come from these type of action films and television before, so they know a little bit of stunts, but the major stunts are done by stunt performers.
They are, but you'd be surprised that there's a lot of, Lucas does the majority of his own stunts, and Tyrese does a lot of his own stuff too. And what it comes down to is, like you said, both of those guys have been involved in so much action in their careers. I was very impressed with Lucas's athletic ability, just his natural ability. He's trained, I'm pretty sure he told me he's trained Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu before, and he's done some martial arts in the past. And a lot of that kind of paid dividends, because it's not like we need to teach him how to throw a punch. He already knows how to do that. So everything looked authentic. And speaking of authentic, that was Tyrese's big thing. Tyrese was like, "Look, man, I don't need any spinning back fist. I don't need any roundhouse kicks. I don't want to be doing some 16 hit combination. I'm going to walk in, I'm going to punch a guy in the face, I'm going to knock him out." And I was like, all right, I really appreciate that. Because let's face it, man, I'm not some big tough guy, but I've witnessed a few fights in my day. Usually one or two punches is all it takes. In movies, sometimes people just keep getting hit 60 times, and it's like, that doesn't happen in real life. So Tyrese was all about keeping it down and dirty and factual, and I should say authentic.
And now you actually work with the real wrestler in this case, with Mercedes. Tell us about her physicality, and was it how can you say, an advantage to have an athletic person like Mercedes to do hand-to-hand combat type of action scenes?
Watching Mercedes learn the fight choreography was one of the most stunning things I've ever seen on a movie set, because all she did, it was like Rain Man. She just watched the two stunt performers do the whole sequence. I'm talking like multiple beats, multiple numbers, all this stuff going on. She watches it once, she goes, "Okay, I got that." Steps in, and like first try is like nailing it. So she was like with savant like recall and ability to replicate exactly the maneuvers. So there's no question. I mean, let's face it, Mercedes, if you talk to any wrestling fan or someone who knows what's up with that whole scene, Mercedes is probably one of, if not the best female wrestlers on the planet. That's no fabrication. She's literally on a list of maybe 5 women that are considered the best. So it's just, to me, it was just thrilling to watch someone. When do you get to watch someone who's maybe one of the best in the world do their thing? And again, it's all about making it look violent and nasty, but keeping the other performers safe. And that's ultimately what pro wrestling is, right? Make it look nasty to the crowd, but in the back, we're going to have a beer together and nobody has any bruises. Nobody broke their nose, you know?
So how did you handle these knife fights? I mean, you're swinging. I want to say you're swinging a prop around here.
Well, thank goodness the knives were not real knives. But you know, that was part of it. Obviously, everyone feels safe. You know, I had a great special effects artist by the name of Doug Sackman, and Doug made a whole set of these prop knives where we did have the one picture knife that actually, it's dull, but you could still stab someone with it, of course. And then we have our foam knives, and then we have our latex, you know, kind of rubber knives. So there was a whole bevy of different types of prop knives that we could use so that it was safe. And again, I think, you know, obviously fighting with a knife is unique because Mercedes doesn't do that in a wrestling ring. But ultimately, you know, fight choreography is all about going by the numbers. And it was the same thing. So she took to it really well.
Now, you know, plenty of shooting scenes, plenty of destruction. And tell us about, how can you say, destroying doors and walls and windows and all this kind of stuff in your case, because as an action director, I think you had the most amount of fun here.
You know, I had so much fun doing this movie. I'm a huge action figure fan. I never really grew up. I still collect vintage action figures. So to me, this was like the adult version, the grown-up version of being a little kid in my backyard playing with my G.I. Joes. Only this time, the G.I. Joes were real living people, and I got to play out all these kind of action sequences in real life. So it was something else, man. I loved it. And this was really my first true action movie. I've done some horror movies. I've done a lot of different genres, and I'll tell you, man, after making this movie, like I could do action movies forever.
Now, in the house itself, the setting, what did you actually destroy, or was that a set that you actually had to create?
Are you talking about the big boom, the explosion there?
No, I'm actually talking about when you're, because we know the big boom was you know,
Yeah,
you didn't really destroy the house with the big boom, but
that was a little computer generated explosion there.
But I'm talking about, like, you know, when you're doing the shooting scenes, going through doors and, you know, crushing furniture and all this kind of stuff.
I mean, that's just the fun bit of destruction where the little 13-year-old kid in you comes out and you're like, yeah, we get to break stuff today. So, you know, we bring a carpenter in and we bring a door in, and, you know, a lot of times, you know, special types of glass that are obviously, you know, the thinnest possible glass that we can utilize for when you're breaking glass and things like that. But yeah, I mean, a lot of that's practical. I mean, yes, there was a lot of CGI in terms of the explosion, but a lot of times it's just you hire your carpenter to come in and build a little fun house that you get to bust up.
Now, how did you want to balance the humor into you know, these type of action films, because it is also paramount to have that sense.
No question about it. I mean, you go back to some of the classic action movies, the Lethal Weapons of the world, you know, there's always a little bit of comedy in there, you know, that's a part of it. And I think that, you know, in the collective, we're dealing with some dark elements there. I mean, like, human trafficking is a real thing, you know, like there's a lot of like sick stuff that's being kind of showcased here. So I think it's important to, with that darkness, you got to balance it a little bit. With all that violence, you got to balance a little bit. So, you know, the humor was big. I think that you'll notice that Don Johnson has a nice snarkiness to him. And really a lot of that too was cool because it was great to get to know, get to know the actor. Like, for example, getting to know Lucas Till. He's a really funny guy in real life. So it's cool just to see that kind of sense of humor that he has transformed and projected onto the screen.
Most excellent. Well, you did actually do a popcorn flick that that we would love to watch on a Friday night and just chow down our snacks. So, Tom, thank you very much for carrying this conversation with us for the collective, and everyone needs to check it out. Thank you.
Thanks, Gig. I appreciate the kind words on the movie.
Thank you. Bye now.